Good morning. Top of the morning to you. I hope your day is starting off as good as mine. Hope your coffee's as good as mine. We have quite a bit going on. We want to update you on what's going on in Maine. We want to update you on what's going on the world stage. We want to take another look at Mike Johnson, the new preacher of the house. So, without further ado, fill your cups, grab a pen and paper. We're going to have a good long round table at the end of this show. We're going to make sure that we don't run long. It's Friday, folks. We made it. Enjoy your weekend and let's get it started. Good morning, folks. As I'm sure you're aware, we've had, because you're the best audience in the world and you keep track of everything that's going on, I'm absolutely certain you understand that we have had another mass shooting. This time out in a right wing terrorist freak from Bowdoin, Maine, has gone on a rampage. And I tell you, this is the first thing that came to my mind after getting over the initial horror of the fact that this shooter targeted a youth bowling league. I I I don't I don't even have words for that. I'll be honest with you. I don't. We're getting mixed information about how many people have been injured, how many people have been killed. So I am going to hold off on casualty information because the corporate press on this can't get their anything straight on this. They're reporting anywhere from 16 to 22 people have been killed. I will tell you, I don't know. The information coming out of Maine is so slow, so sketchy, so spotty, especially when it comes to uh, to the shooter. I do know. I do know that we had idiots like Jason Aldean running their mouth, saying, "Hey, try that in a small town." And a lunatic terrorist by the name of Richard Card said, "Hold my beer." He's your typical right wing online troll turd. We know that his favorite online posts are cat turd, Donald Trump Jr., Elon Musk. I mean, this is so predictable, folks. It was so predictable. And X-Chan, Elon over at X-Chan, normally after something like this happens, independent commentators like me and independent journalists will immediately run to the guy's social media, starting with Twitter, because these nutballs always are just diarrhea of the mouth on Twitter. And that'll tell us who they are. But Elon Musk just immediately ripped his site down the second this just came out. And if the guy had been a Democrat if he had been, black, if he'd been anything that South African jerk wanted to attack, not only would Robert Richard Card's social media on X-Chan still be up, but he would still be, Elon Musk would be quoting his social media. But as it stands, Twitter immediately ripped it all down. We have to rely on law enforcement has finally told us what this guy's freakadillo is. He was all upset about a financial crisis that was looming. Does that sound familiar? You know, all the right wing troll turds you hear. There's a financial crisis. Of course, we don't. Joe Biden, we just had 4.9% growth in GDP in the last quarter. I mean, America is leading the world, but the right wing echo chamber just keeps telling these people that it's a hellscape. Well, that's not free, folks. That's not free. Words matter. And you keep telling these freaks. Courtney says somebody's been on OAN. He's been on Breitbart. All the right wing, trash propaganda organizations have been filling this guy's head to create a terrorist. And he wasn't just, of course, he's all over LGBTQ plus issues, transgender issues, gun rights. The people have been coming out because the corporate media has just completely dropped the ball on this. So people that actually live in this area have been coming out and telling us, yeah, we know him, we know his family, we know to stay away from him and stay away from them. They're gun nuts. They're the kind of people that show up at inappropriate places with guns on. They're just really, you know, militia supporting people. That's who this guy is. He's another frickin' right-wing terrorist that went on a murder spree to force his ideology on the rest of the country. And he's all about AOC and how much he hates AOC. He's all about how much he hates President Biden and all the fictions that you hear out of the right wing over and over again. This is what he is. I mean, this is the guy that's constantly reposting cat turd. You know what cat turd is? He's a fat idiot that lives down in I believe it was South Carolina or Florida. I can't remember off the top of my head where that idiot lives, but he's some backwoods Bubba that the right wing just idealized because all he does is repeat the same insane, crazy talking points. Well, here you go. Here's what you get. Here's what you get. Robert Card went out there and just had a bad day. His sister says what finally set him off was that his girlfriend left him. And that was what pushed him over. We know that he'd been hospitalized for hearing voices, but the Army National Guard, he was in the Army National Guard. He was gas station attendant, drove a gas truck. Uh, he's got his health insurance through the military, and they hospitalized him for a couple weeks because he was hearing voices, and the voices were telling him to murder people. Well, because we're a ridiculous society, that wasn't enough to notify the locals and tell the locals, hey, maybe you should go out there and separate him from his arsenal. I mean, the guy is literally hearing voices in his head that is telling him to go out and murder people. Maybe we should separate him from his ability to do that. But no, no, no. Can't violate the AR-15's rights. Can't do that. And the responses have been predictable. I said, my statement on this was that we have another right wing terrorist that's used a machine of war to go out and murder children, murder unsuspecting Americans, just going on with their lives, just going on about their lives. Did nothing to him. And we will not get a single Republican on the right. They'll protect him. They'll minimize this. They will call it mental illness instead of terrorism, which is what it is. It's terrorism. His ideology is no different than any ideology from anyone in the Middle East right now, Hamas, Hezbollah, any of them. His ideology is no different. Murder and make them bend to my will. That's what he did. But, Republicans will minimize it. They will talk about anything and everything but the fact that a guy that heard voices in his head had access to an arsenal of weapons. And my statement was simple. Not a single Republican will stand up and say, "Don't buy these weapons." I mean, the most minimalist thing you could possibly do. Tell people, "Don't buy these weapons." Statistics show. Sherry Foster says Republicans, MAGAs, making absolutely no sense whatsoever as usual, wanting to ban abortion, but not wanting sensible gun laws. Go figure. Sheesh. Good comment there, Sherry. They won't just say the simplest thing that, don't go buy these weapons. And I've gotten to the point where I'm willing. If you're a right winger and you believe that you have to have these weapons, I want you to contact me. My contact information is out there. I want you to contact me. And I will spend my money. I will come to you. I will come to your home and you can show me the war zone hellscape that you live in that requires you to have weapons of war. Convince me. I'll come and we'll talk about it. Because frankly, I've been all over this country, city, country, rural, sea to shining sea, border to border, and I have never found a place. I've been folks, I've been to Chicago. They like to call Chicago Chirac because it's supposed to be the most dangerous place on earth. I have been through all of Chicago, and I am telling you, there is no place that you need weapons of war in this country to defend yourself. You don't. You just don't. But if you think you do, please contact me. I will come to your home and we'll talk about why you think you need weapons of war where you live. But the Republican responses have been exactly what you thought they would be. I I follow several people, just people that make a lot of sense. One of the people I follow, I've mentioned this before, I recommend you follow him. It's a guy by the name of Jim Wright. His organization is called Stone Kettle Station. See him at Stone Kettle on X Chan. His response to this was pretty straightforward. Folks, in the aftermath of yet another horrific mass shooting, please respect the dead by remembering AR stands for Armalite and not assault rifle. It was a sarcastic comment because he knew what was going to come from Republicans and Clanny Oakley, Lauren Boebert, of course. Stone Kettle, you know, Jim said this yesterday. So today, Lauren Boebert responds with, I'm not going to be lectured about gun safety by people who think the AR and AR-15 stands for assault rifle. Called it. It's the same stupid comments over and over and over again. I mean, it's just mind-bending, folks. Just just mind-bending. There's somebody that didn't quite get Jim Wright's sarcasm there. He was being sarcastic. He knew that the Republicans were going to say that, and I it's a perfect example. Republicans are going to try to make this about freedom. We're going to say, hey, you know, it's the guns. It's the guns. This maniac would not have done what he did if he didn't have an arsenal, an arsenal of war machines. He wouldn't have. It's insanity. So I would ask you, any comment you get from a right winger, just challenge them. Tell people not to buy these weapons. It's really that simple. Tell people not to buy these weapons. You're not asking them to ban them. You're not asking them to do anything, get off their ass in any way, shape, or form. You're just telling them, hey, tell people not to buy these weapons. I assure you their response will be horrific. Uh, but I don't want to drag you down, folks. I don't want to drag you down because I'll be honest with you. This whole subject is just, you know, people say they're worried about us being fatigued by this. I'm not fatigued by mass. I'm depressed. I'm sad. I am angry. I am a lot of things. A lot of things. But fatigued by it? No. I am not getting to where this doesn't bother me anymore. I'm actually very worried that a lot of us are getting to the point where this bothers us too much. You know, the media has not normally by now, we are days in, the media would have told us we would have information on who the victims were. Almost nothing. Almost no, we know he shot up a bowling alley with a youth league in it. Almost nothing. Diana Turner says we were 70% safer when when there was a ban on assault weapons. That's true. We have banned them before. We did. Bill Clinton signed an assault weapons ban into law. Uh, the number of mass shootings dropped by 45%. George Bush let it expire. W. And mass shootings have increased by 250%. It's the guns, folks. We are not a responsible enough people to own weapons of war. We're just not. Yeah, that's not even arguable. Banning them works. It does. It's just a matter of looking at the math. Well, folks, I like I said, I don't want to drag you down on this. I don't want to bum you out. I don't. There's more to talk about. Yeah. Today's college football day, folks. Get into it. Get into it. Find something to enjoy, get your mind off the heaviness. I want to talk about our preacher of the house. I refuse to call him Speaker of the House. He's the preacher of the house. Did you know that right now we have a preacher of the house that believes that the earth is 6,000 years old and that a guy by the name of Noah took all the living creatures of earth and put them on a homemade boat, including dinosaurs? I'm not even kidding. Including dinosaurs. Put them all on a homemade boat, and a magic spell made them all sleep so that they didn't eat each other. And in that homemade boat, he survived a worldwide flood that there's no evidence of. That's our preacher of the house, folks. That's who this guy is. Don't believe me? Okay. Well, maybe you'll believe him.
Someone asked me today in the media, they said, it's curious. People are curious. What does Mike Johnson think about any issue under the sun? I said, well, go pick up a Bible off your shelf and read it. That's my worldview. That's what I believe. And so someone asked.
Believe him now? I'm not even kidding, folks. Mike Johnson's life mission has been to turn our government into a theocracy, and he has absolutely managed to do that. Our legislative legislative branch, half of it is the House of Representatives. He now controls the agenda of the House of Representatives, and he is telling you, I am a Christian nationalist. I am a theocrat. This is a theocracy. You want to know where I stand on any issue, open your Bible. Anybody alarmed by that? Is anybody alarmed by that at all? I just I wow. That's going to be that's going to be our fight for the next year. You know, I was watching the Midas Touch podcast last night. I'm a big fan of Midas Touch. Um, and they did a great job. They just played clip after clip after clip from this guy. I tell you, you could sum it up with that one clip I played you. You want to know what I think? Read your Bible. Everything I do will come from the Bible. Handmaid's Tale time, folks. Handmaid's Tale. And when I say it's been his entire life's mission, I mean it. I've got a great article for you that I want to refer you to. I'd like you to go read. It's from Mother Jones Magazine. I I disagree with the title just a little bit. They said Mike Johnson's long flirtation with Christian nationalists. It's not a flirtation, it's been his mission. But Madison Pauley over at Mother Jones has written an amazing article talking to people that have worked with Mike Johnson before, Preacher Johnson. And it really is an amazing article, folks. And if I can just take a second, let me tell you, I want to be of service. Follow Mother Jones. Follow the Daily Beast. If you want a national newspaper, Washington Post is okay. That's what I recommend for a national newspaper. New York Times is trash. LA Times is I like the Washington Post myself. You need to have good sources, people. Mother Jones is top notch. They are top notch. Whenever there's a big issue, check with Mother Jones. They will be on top of it. They still employ journalists like David Korn. It's a great place to get your news from. I'd love to just sit and talk about baseball. I really would. Go Rangers. But no. No, not today. Not today. We have too many big things going on. Too many big things going on. When I say that this was Preacher Johnson's life's work, that I mean it. I really mean it. This is what this guy did before he got into politics. This was his mission in life. Some of you may recognize who this guy is. This is James Dobson. Focus on the Family Guy. I don't know how many of you are familiar with him, but this is a really dangerous guy. This is a really dangerous guy. James Dobson is the guy that said, if your boy's misbehaving, take him into the shower with you and he'll see your penis is bigger than his, and then he'll behave. Not kidding. I mean, James Dobson makes Pat Robertson look sane in comparison. I mean, Dobson, not only is he just insane in his views, not only does he say the most incredibly insane things, but he's very dangerous, folks, because he doesn't just believe in preaching, he believes in attacking. See, he hates the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, because one of the biggest things the ACLU does is it protects us. It provides us with religious freedom, as in freedom from religion. The ACLU is James Dobson's biggest enemy because that's where the rubber meets the road, in court, where things get battled out. And Dobson wants to force his Christianity, his view of Christianity on you, and it's working. You see it working here in the state of Texas with guys like Ferris Wilkes and the Seventh-day Adventist Church. They are literally going to rob our public school systems to force public money into their churches through schools. And where James Dobson comes in on this is he hated the ACLU, so he funded an organization called Alliance Defending Freedom, which is the religious zealots version of the ACLU. See, whenever the Republicans have a talking point, they need lawsuits to back it up so that they can, that's the grift. You have a talking point. Mr. Knudsen, appreciate the comment. Nazi theocracy is what you're heading for if you don't vote out these religious fundamentalists. Absolutely. This is how the Nazis came to power, on the back of religion. Read your Bibles and counter these power hungry charlatans. Best wishes from a worried atheist. Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to be atheist to be worried. Ortiz Rodriguez says, Kathy D asks, can't one Democrat move to vacate the speaker and move us from this nutcase? You can, but you have to have the votes. We don't have the votes. Republicans voted in lockstep to keep him in place. And what we can do is what I'm doing here, which is just to point out and shine a spotlight on this so that maybe eventually we can peel off some of those votes. And if it does make it to the 2024 elections, we will have people motivated and ready to get out there. But back to what we were talking about with James Dobson and the grift and the Alliance Defending Freedom organization. That's where Preacher Johnson came from. He was an attorney. He used to sue people on his behalf. Talking about the Ark, what I'm doing there is I'm pointing out to you, Ken Ham, the crazy guy behind the Ark, all those lawsuits he filed, that was with the Alliance Defending Freedom religious nutball organization. And that's my personal opinion of them. They're nutballs. They're grifters and nutballs. And I'm not the first one to call them that. They've been called out before. If you've got to put out an article that says, "Are on your own website that says, "Are ADF's cases made up?" and defend that on your own website, yeah, you know damn well you don't have credibility. Yeah, I deleted it, damn it. Yeah, you gotta trust me, it's there. The ADF has an entire screen on their website defending the fact that, trying to prove that they don't make up cases, which Christian ambulance chasing is exactly what they do. It is exactly what they do. Marjorie Trader Green wants a talking point attacking transgender people. The Alliance Defense Fund goes out and finds some nutball somewhere that they can bring a case that doesn't mean anything to anybody so that Marjorie Trader Green can point to this lawsuit where, oh, parents had to be defended. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's go to their own website, their own claim, their own claims of what they believe have been their successes. And you'll see what I'm talking about. They're Christian ambulance chasers. We had this last case here, chemical abortion drugs makes lawsuit fizzle in West Virginia. This is what one of the lawsuits that they put out to your church. Your church. If you're watching this, you go to church, your church. They absolutely, your pastor bragged about this, how they were, defending the babies, how they were just defending the babies. And they raise money off of it. Let me pop over to this is the first site you come to when you search them. Okay? Let me pop back over to this. Won't take but a second. Boom. Defend your religious freedom, send us money. Send us money. They absolutely fundraise in your church. They call it an alliance for a reason. It is all of these churches that your church that get together in these groups and support these groups like Focus on the Family and all of them, the groups that you know Truett Cathy over at Chick-fil-A used to donate to. All of these groups form together to their it says, "Do you believe the crazy repugs are acting like clowns to keep us from voting?" Absolutely. Absolutely. I do. She says, "I know a few people that don't want to vote because of all the madness." Yeah, absolutely. That is absolutely the point. They're not trying to win people over. They're trying to turn people off. Great comment, by the way. Thank you. But let's go back to the website. Let's see what they have to say. I mean, I don't like to speak for people. Believe in letting people speak for themselves. So let's take a look at where Preacher Johnson, the new Speaker of the House, what is the organization that he came up in all about? Recent victories. Wisconsin court rules to protect parents' rights. There's a lawsuit they filed in Wisconsin. It was ridiculousness. Just ridiculousness. Just ridiculousness. It was the school there that they sued, the school district there that they sued in Wisconsin said, "Look, we're out of it. If your kid is transgender, if little Robert wants to be called Roberta, we don't give a damn. We don't get us out of it. If little Roberta turns in her homework, good job, Roberta. That's all we care. She does her math homework, that's all we care. She does her English homework, that's all we care. We're not getting into this." The Alliance Defending Freedom said, "Oh no, you can't call Robert Roberta. You can't do that. If little Robert comes to school and says, 'Call me Roberta,' You have to call us now. You have to have a meeting with our parents, his parents. You have to get our permission and make a whole issue out of this. That's what you have to do. The school's position is get us the hell out of this. We don't want to be involved. But they took this unicorn of a situation. I want you to think about this. I want you to think about this. Talking about the transgender issue. I want you to think about this. They This is the rarest medical condition there is, gender dysphoria. It's one of the rarest medical conditions there is. So we're not talking about a big deal here. We're not talking about a lot of people. We're talking about a really rare issue in an occasional school, because even the people that do have gender dysphoria, their brains and their bodies aren't jiving together. Not all of them. What's the right word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Participate is the wrong word. You know, being transgender isn't participation in gender dysphoria. It's just who you are. Brendan Lewis says, "Live and let live." Damn, that's where I'm at on this. That's where I'm at. It. Little Robert wants to be called Roberta. I don't care. As long as he does his homework, fine. She does her. Robert wants me to call him she. She does her homework. Great. That's all I care. You know, I just so they filed this lawsuit on this rarest of the unicorn. Because think about that. Not all the people that have gender dysphoria, whose minds and bodies don't match, actually assume the role of the sex that their mind is. So yeah, not only is it a rare medical condition, gender dysphoria, but not everybody involved, not all the Roberts that have gender dysphoria want you to call them Roberta. Most of them just want to fit in. So what's this all about? It's to give Marjorie Trader Green a talking point. Parents in Wisconsin had to sue because a school wanted to help their kids be transgender. That's what they're doing in your schools. Your schools. Not just some one-off situation out in the middle of nowhere nobody knew about. It's all your schools trying to make them kids transgender. That's the narrative. That is the Alliance Defense Fund's job. They are there to create these lawsuits. And there's more of it, folks. There's a lot more of it. I really want to look at this. I know we're going to pop in and out of this slide a few times, but stick with me. It's important. This is who Preacher Johnson is. This is what he did for a living. The preacher of the house. Here you go. Queen's Angels Bookstore now free to speak. Operate consistent with beliefs. This one's hilarious. See this little bookstore right here? This little Catholic bookstore. They filed a lawsuit because, good Lord, that little bookstore hires a lot of transgender people, and them transgender people want. No, they don't. They're filing lawsuits because that area had an ordinance said, look, man, respect people. If somebody's transgender, just just respect them. And they're like, no way. No way. We're not going to call our transgender employees she, or when they have gender dysphoria. No way. That little bookstore will be made a huge talking point. Is made a huge talking point. If you listen to right wingers, they're talking about that. When they talk about the Catholic Church just sued to make sure that you could just adhere to your religious beliefs, that's it. That's it. That little Catholic bookstore right there. That was Preacher Johnson's job. That's what he does. And there's more, folks. There's more. I mean, really, you're gonna love this one. You're gonna love this one. I mean, the bookstore was funny. I mean, it was funny because, how many transgender employees you think the bookstore has? How many bookstores do you think they have? This one's great. California to pay $192,000 to settle a pro-life group's free speech case. $192,000 to settle a pro-life group's free speech case. You know what this is? This is the ultimate in ambulance chasing. This entire lawsuit, there's a Planned Parenthood. So this anti-abortion group, and I have to tell you, my personal opinion, anti-abortion activists are the worst human beings on the face of the planet. They're the kind of people that stand outside a clinic or a hospital that provides abortion services and screams. I remember one of the cases just broke my heart. Woman had been trying over and over and over and over again to have a child. I mean, she'd gone through every medical service possible so her and her husband could have a child. She kept having miscarriages, and she had her fetus die, and it was the last one. They'd made up her mind. It was her last one. It was their last try. It was like their 5th or 6th attempt, and she was walking into the clinic to have this dead child removed from her. She needed a D&C to get the child removed, and one of the anti-abortion people called her a whore. She's a whore. And man, it just broke her. It just did. It just broke her. I mean, imagine all of that she had already gone through to try to have a child, and she'd had miscarriage after miscarriage. Here she is going to get a medical procedure just so that she doesn't die. And got this Christian, this wonderful Christian pro-life person calls her a whore. That's who these people are, man. That's who these abortion activists. I've seen nothing but the worst behavior out of these human beings. So they intentionally moved in next to a Planned Parenthood. Then they sued because California has a law that says you have to stay a certain distance away from people going to a medical facility that provides abortions. You can protest. It's your right to protest, First Amendment. You can be the biggest jackass you want to be because that's what you're going to be if you're an anti-abortion protester. You're going to be the most awful human people on the face of the planet, in my humble opinion. But you have to do it X number of feet away. Well, they moved in next door so that they shared a sidewalk. So the state couldn't tell them that they had to be so far away. They could get up close and personal because they're the neighbor. And you can't tell them without violating their religious rights that they can be the neighbor. And the Alliance Defense Fund is very proud of that. Very proud of that. Because now they're challenging the law that makes abortion protesters stay away from people wanting health services. And this is who your preacher of the house is. If you want to know what his agenda is, this is it. Read the Bible. Read the Bible. We're a theocracy now. No different than the mullahs in the Middle East. We are a theocracy. And speaking of the Middle East, things just got hot for us. Let's go to the map. We have an air base in Iraq, the Al Assad Air Base in the Anbar province. That's the red peg you see right there. We also have a garrison in Syria. If you follow Highway 1 here, all the way into Syria, into this area right across the border, we've got the Al Tanaf garrison there, filled with jolly green giants. President Biden just ordered the attack on Iranian associated militias. That's Hezbollah and other militias. That there's always infighting among these militias as to who's going to be the boss, etc. Trina Lang, thank you. It's scary that the House now is run by crazies. Yeah, it is. It's extremely scary. And I apologize, folks. I'm going to keep scaring the shit out of you about it because it's important. All right, let's finish looking at this map so I can pull it down. See Ramadi, Al Fallujah, Baghdad. Right here is our air base. And then here's Al Tanaf, just over the border in Syria. We have a garrison of troops there. Well, folks, they've been attacking them, and we had 21 American servicemen injured in drone attacks. And the drones are made by Iran. They are training these terrorists, they are absolutely equipping them, and we know it. So everybody asked what Biden was doing when he moved the Gerald R. Ford into the Mediterranean. He's also moved the Eisenhower and its armada into the Mediterranean. I tell you, that's impressive, isn't it? The Gerald R. Ford is a floating air base. It is amazing. It is surrounded by missile cruisers. It is and destroyers. There are enough attack submarines underneath that boat right there that I guarantee you there isn't as much as a fishing boat in that part of the Mediterranean that doesn't have a firing solution on it already. It's just an amazing, amazing piece of hardware. It really is. When things went crazy, look, you have to stay out of this. We're not going to have an escalation. And these terrorist groups said, "Oh, yes, we are." And they started attacking Americans. Last week, like I said, they injured 21 American servicemen. Fortunately, fortunately, because we're well equipped and well trained, none of them were injured seriously. They've all returned to duty. But President Biden, because he is the find out portion of fuck around and find out, had our Navy attack these groups in Syria and destroy their supplies of drones. Uh, there was a serious loss of life there, but it was a clear message. It was a clear message. This will not get out of hand. It was a clear message to Iran. Get some. We are willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that you do not escalate this situation. And don't kid yourselves, folks. That's exactly what Iran wants. That is exactly what Iran wants. Iran wants an escalation in this situation in the Middle East. And President Biden, God bless him, is showing the strength necessary to do what it takes. But of course, Republicans have come out today and attacked him for it. Uh, Tommy Tuberville was asked again, "Will you please stop blocking promotions in our military? Things are getting hot." And Tommy Tuberville's response was that President Biden has started wars in Ukraine. There are Biden's wars in the Middle East now. And no, he's not going to free up our military to just do their jobs. We've got other Republicans coming out. attacking President Biden for calling this an escalation. They're calling this an escalation when actually it's just the opposite. It is really just the opposite. It is really just the opposite. It is keeping Iran in check. It's letting Russia know very clearly because Russia operates in the same region. They're constantly trying to antagonize us. It is letting Russia know, don't, don't. We're there. We have the Gerald R. Ford carrier group. We have the Eisenhower carrier group. We have the men, the missiles, the supplies to engage in war with you and anyone else in the region and win. Don't, don't try us. And it's exactly what President Biden needs to be doing. But of course, the Republicans immediately take the side of Putin, the side of Iran, and attack Joe Biden. You like that, Winnie? I appreciate that. That's our new Thanksgiving gift. Gobble till you wobble, baby. Gobble till you wobble. That is my Thanksgiving mantra. Eat till it hurts. Thanks for asking there, Winnie. I appreciate you. But yeah, I mean that's the situation we're in, folks. Just to sum it up, that's the situation we're in. We have a radical handmaid's tale telling you to your face that he's a Christian theocrat who's taken control of the House of Representatives, the one portion of the government that Republicans control is a theocracy. We have our enemies attacking us. We've had service members attacked, and you have Republicans attacking our president for defending our service members. Let me say that again. You have Republicans attacking our president for defending our service members who were just attacked and injured by Iranian drones. No, they're traitor sons of bitches. They are traitor sons of bitches. Swim with Whale says, party of Putin. Absolutely right. Thanks for coming in to see us from Twitch. I appreciate you. So, yeah, that's where we're at today, folks. That's where we're at. Going into the weekend, we've got a shooter on the loose that was radicalized. He's a right wing terrorist radicalized by Republicans. We have a new preacher of the House who is a theocrat put in power by Republicans. We have the President of the United States standing up for our soldiers that are being attacked by Iranian drones, and Republicans are taking Putin and Iran's side. That's where we're at. That's the summation of all of this. Folks, we've got an election going on right now. You need to be voting. You need to be voting. Have you voted yet? If you voted, tell us in the comments. I'd love to hear it. Early voting's been going on for a couple days. I'm asking you people. There's one way to defeat this. One way. And that's in the ballot, with the ballot. That's in the voting booth. We have to do it. We have to do it. Every election. We can't wait till 2024. You have to be voting now. There's an election now. There's a House seat here in Texas that is up for election now. We have to be voting now. So let's move to the roundtable, folks. I want to hear what questions you have. It's an AMA. Ask me anything. Ask me anything. We have Miss Pam that says Christian fascists taking marching orders from the most unchristian man on the planet. Make sense of that. I can't. I can't. What I can say is that our outrage isn't enough. You know, Donald Trump, she's talking about Donald Trump. Donald Trump stood up in the middle of a trial yesterday, stood up and marched out. No judge should allow that to happen. No judge should allow that to happen. Then he walks out, blabs BS to the press, and the press run with it. Your outrage needs to be greater. You need to be letting these people hear your voices. No, no. Jeff Jacks asked, do guns in Texas have to be? No, of course not. Of course not. You can walk around. I can hop on my Harley and go drive around with an AR-15 strapped to my back, and it doesn't have to be registered in any way, shape, or form, and they can't say a damn thing to me. I can ride anywhere I want to go. The only limit there is, and they're trying to get this removed, is if somebody has a placard on their door that says you can't bring a gun in here, you have to respect their rights. And Republicans are trying to get that overturned right now. Darla Houston says, Paul, I'm here in Texas. Aside from going to vote for certain propositions, I'm aware that we can go vote here. Yeah, those propositions are important, Darla. They're important. Yeah. That's how Republicans sneak this crap through. Those propositions are important, incredibly important. You're going to have you're going to have school board races. You're going to have all of your local races that these Republicans dominate because of that. Yes, you have to vote now. You have to vote now. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But yeah, I do. Every Christmas, I grow my beard out for her. Not bad for 2 days, huh? It's been more than 2 days. It's been 3 days, 4 days, something like that. All right. Let's see what else we've got. Do I think Robin Depp says, do I think Johnson was the plan all along? No, no. You had factions in the House, Republican factions in the House. That's why Tom Emmer was put up there. He was from the sane faction. He was from the faction of people that realized that we can't defund our support for Ukraine because Russia has to lose there or we end up with a land war in Europe. That is a faction of Republicans. But those same Republicans that we call sane and moderate are the same people that absolutely believe all this religious bullshit. They live by it. Even the ones that don't believe it live off of it. They know their votes come out of the churches. So no, he wasn't the plan all along. You had each faction taking their bite at the apple, the chaos caucus, trying to push their guy through, Jimmy Jordan, trying to push through. Finally, they came to an agreement that, the one thing that we can all support is religious zealotry. So yeah, we'll let that guy be speaker. But it won't last long. It won't, because you will have Republicans in the House that say we've got to fund Ukraine. And Preacher Johnson's going to say no. So their alliance will not hold together for long. Sean M says the founders knew that the religion and government would be a problem. This was based in history in England. This is why they set up a separation of church and state. They like to argue that there is no separation of church and state. No, the founders were very clear about this. There is a church and there is a state. There's not a church and state. They both exist, but they do not exist together. And guys like Preacher Johnson has made a career out of arguing, well, it doesn't specifically say that they don't exist together in the Constitution, so they do. No, they don't. The founders were very clear about that. They saw what happened in England. They know the power that the Church of England held, how it was wielded as an axe against the people. And they said, we don't want that here. We don't want that here. They were very clear about it. Ed, my man, Ed Panetta voted. Good man. Good man. I will tell you, I'm going on election day. Next Tuesday. I'm voting next Tuesday. Greg, another great point, buddy. Which church? Pentecostals hate Catholics. That's the problem. That is the problem. They have said very clearly, Donald Trump came up and said there will be a religious litmus test at the border, or you cannot immigrate into this country. He believes that. Preacher Johnson believes that. And they're not talking about Catholics. They are not. And they're not talking about Jewish people. They're not. They're not talking about Muslim people. They're talking about Protestant Baptists. That's it. That's who makes the litmus test. All right, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Kelly says tax churches, no more tax breaks for homeschooling. Amen. Amen. 100%. These people are in politics. They are no longer just religious organizations or religious charities. They have entire legal organizations set up specifically to take over our government. That is politics. They must be taxed. No more tax breaks for these people. Karen Collins says, if they abolish church state separation, I'm joining Wicca. You know, a lot of people have said stuff like that. There are a lot of people that are becoming Norse pagans. Yeah. I mean, well, they were the people that are around before the Abrahamic religions. There are a lot of people, the pagans, the Norse pagans, they a lot of people that are joining religion. They're seeing resurgences. Hell, I founded my own religion. I'm gonna tell you, I did. I don't talk religion a lot, but I will tell you, I believe that there's a creator, but I don't think I got a relationship with him. I don't. I can actually prove there was a creator, but that's a discussion for another time. But I don't believe in these Abrahamic religions. I think the Bible's idiocy. That is a great point. People are being pushed into other religions because of what these people are doing. Me too, Burns thoughts. It really does. How many of you were taken back by just how many intensely stupid people there are in this country? You know, I read what these people say. You can tell the ones that are actually humans and the ones that are just troll accounts, you know. And I read the things that they say, they're just basic lack of civics, just the sheer amount of stupidity. Just and I tell you, it's not all right wing. I had to explain. People were just having a fit because I was saying I got a prediction. One of the first things that old preacher Johnson is going to do is he's going to defund the Jack Smith and special counsel office, and everybody was like, he can't. It's a law. It's permanently funded. There is no such thing, and I explained it. I explained it to people. There is no such thing as anything that is permanently funded. All funding comes out of the House. All funding must be approved by Congress. The same law that protected the funding that didn't make it part of the traditional budgeting process. And that's what you're saying. It's not part of the traditional budgeting process. It's a permanent expenditure. The same law that made it a perfect permanent expenditure, the same pen, can make it not a permanent expenditure. Yeah, that's exactly what I could not explain that to people. Absolutely could not. I mean, the amount of stupid in this country is insane. That's why, folks, I have to tell you, that's not hyperbole. That's not kissing your ass. When I tell you spending time with you people keep me alive. The amount of knowledge that you folks have renews my faith in humanity. That's not hyperbole. That is not hyperbole. I spend so much time in politics hearing stupid things that people say, and it's just, coming to you and us getting together is it it really does. It keeps me going. You're my energy. Mr. Newton says, best statement ever. I believe the Bible is idiocy. I don't believe it was idiocy. I believed it served a purpose back in a time when people were even dumber than they are now. It was a way to control people. It was a way to keep people, for men in power to control people. That's what it was designed to do. That's why every religion brings you to a church and makes you bend your knee, bow your head to the church in the name of God so that they can tell you what to do, when to do, where to do. And we can have theocracies like Preacher Johnson, the preacher of the house. So yeah, I don't think the Bible's idiocy. I just know that it was stories lifted from other religions that did the same damn thing. Just Kinder says, I'm to the point of listening to very few of these shows. It's stressful. I hear you. I hear you. That's why I try to throw in some uplifting, happy things, to try to keep people from getting too stressed because yeah, we want to be aware, we want to be focused, but we've got to pay attention to what's going on. But we do need to remember it is Friday. It is a beautiful day outside where I'm at. The sun just peeked through. We're about to get a bunch of rain this weekend, but right now the sun just peeked through. And we're gonna have a good day. We're gonna have a good weekend. We're gonna have a good weekend. Well, folks, we're way over. We've rolled over into the Tony Michael show. We've rolled over into Hal, and I want you guys to go have a wonderful day. Go enjoy the rest of what's out there. Have fun. This is old Texas Paul out. I will see you Sunday.